Temperatures in Colorado Springs bottoming out overnight. In Walsenburg, we did hit 8 below, but we've started to warm. Kind of the story.
Doctor, attorney, and now the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.
Hey there, crew. Good morning. Is it? I'm not sure. The Bronco game seemed to end at the end of the third quarter. And man, the conditions changed and certainly impacted that game, I think. Not sure it was in the cards for the Broncos. Things didn't seem to be going our way. And it is cold out there this morning. So, a couple things here. Thanks for joining me on Mornings with Meister on Peaks to Plains Weather. Hope you had a good weekend. We're going to do a couple things right now. We'll take your comments if you'd like to join me on the show. I just posted in the Facebook stream the links that you can put in your browser on your phone or your computer, and you can join me on here, and we'll do that. You can also type any comments or questions, and I will share some of those after we do a little bit of weather, because the snow showers that came through during the game yesterday, yeah, they certainly changed things up, and we ended up with a pretty good band over the eastern plains as that system got into southern Colorado. And you'll see a little sort of line here that develops kind of in the afternoon right across the Palmer Divide that shot off to the southeast and made for a little bit of fun. So that was kind of cool, and had a couple snow squall warnings for my friends at the Weather Service on I-25, because underneath that band, visibility with some of the wind that was around 30 miles per hour was down to about 0. So yeah, that was a good time. How much snow is out there this morning? Well, we'll use radar to estimate that, but I did get several reports and pictures of a couple inches with that. Radar, for the most part here, estimating between 1 and 3 inches of snow in the pink that you see. Some areas on the low end of that, some on the high end of that. And you got to know when you use radar for something like this, especially back up over the hills. I mean, there are some limitations because of the tool that we're using. The radar beam, there are a couple radars across the Front Range of southern Colorado. They don't get through some of the foothills and the mountain peaks here, so it's not going to show you what happened in the mountains. And then there may have been some accumulation out here. Things didn't get too far east, but the radar beam may have ended up out this way above some of the snow showers. So you got to know the limitations of the tool that you are using. Let's check the roads this morning. If you're heading up to Denver, things a lot better up there than they are across parts of southern Colorado. You can see it looks like it's wet there, but that's de-icer that they've put on some of the roads up across the Denver metro area. Here's a look at Castle Rock early this morning. You can see pavement. This airy snow kind of gets thrown off to the sides as cars move through on the roads where the speeds are up enough. And so, it's not all that awful from a travel perspective. Here's a look at Monument this morning. You see the same thing. Snow kind of off to the sides. Certainly the potential for some slick spots on the interstate. Academy looks okay in Colorado Springs. You head west up to Cascade. You can see there is a little bit of snow to deal with. Woodland Park, same sort of deal. You can see the pavement out east in Falcon. Didn't have a ton of snow there, maybe an inch or so, and some icy spots for sure on Highway 24 and Woodman. And in Pueblo this morning, you can see that we do have some snow on the roads in spots, but you can also see that pavement. So varying conditions. The biggest issues will be, in the neighborhoods and the roads where the speeds aren't as high because the cars don't throw that snow off to the side. So just be aware out there this morning. Looks like we have several inches of snow in Walsenburg and the temperature is 10. Let's talk about the temps because that is what's been the main story overnight in addition to the snow. We bottomed out about 5 below in the Springs and kind of hanging out there in a lot of neighborhoods now. Peaks to Plains studio running 8 below. Walsenburg, we bottomed out at 8 below at 1 o'clock, but the temperature is now 10. And that starts to tell the story of what's going to happen today. You see Centennial, Denver, Canyon City, and then Walsenburg and Trinidad are warmer than this time yesterday. We are starting to turn the corner. It's just a process. It's going to take a few hours here. So in terms of the feels like, and I think it's good that some school districts have 2-hour delays this morning because we'll hang out below 0 here for the areas that aren't starting to get out of the Arctic air for another couple hours. And then as we head through the morning, we'll start to turn the corner. Things will be better, particularly between 9 and noon. Even on the feels like, we'll start to get into the 20s, far eastern plains, maybe staying into the teens. But the high temps today will be warmer than what we had over the weekend. We'll have a mixture of 30s and 40s for the foothills eastward. Mountain areas will be in the 20s and 30s. This warmer air does come with a little bit of a price. As you move one air mass out and you bring another one in, you are going to get some wind. It'll be out of the west today. And in some spots might be up over 20 miles per hour from time to time. So certainly breezy, that you have to pay the price there for dealing with the warmer air. So, you've got to take the good kind of with the bad there. So that's kind of the story. You made it through what was a cold weekend and a little bit of an interesting one, actually, from a weather perspective, because, I can't say that all of that worked out the way we thought things were going to. Sometimes it goes that way. That's fine. But, we did have snow, and it was certainly cold, and there were mountain areas that were warmer than those of us at lower elevations. Kind of cool in these Arctic air masses. You get these suspended ice crystals that are in the air. I shared this on social media over the weekend that some of you had some pillars that you were up early enough for the sunrises, you caught that, and then in the evenings, some of the lights in the parking lots and things like that produce these pillars of light, and that's just how the light refracts off of those ice crystals and kind of bounces to your eyes, and it makes sort of a vertical stream of light, so kind of cool to see. Let's talk about our extended forecast here. I'm going to go over to the weather wall because it is a little bit interesting here as we head through the rest of the week. There are a couple things to watch, and a couple of the things last week that impacted us could be in play here this week. So what's good news on the national scene? Oh my goodness sakes. I don't know if you saw any of the ice pictures from Mississippi. There was about ½ inch or more of freezing rain that brought trees down, power lines down. There are lots of people that have power out here, kind of arcing from Oklahoma, Arkansas into Tennessee and Kentucky and up the East Coast. We're starting to get rid of the precipitation from this system, but the temperatures are still an issue as the Arctic air has moved pretty far dang south. So Tampa's 67 right now. That sounds nice compared to Atlanta where it's 23. Houston's 25. That's about as cold as they get. And then you see the below zero numbers from Colorado, from Wyoming, some of the big mountain valleys, kind of arcing toward the Great Lakes. So the coldest of the air will continue to sweep east, and that's just going to make the cleanup a challenge for the crews that try to get power back to everybody, try to make the roads passable, and things like that. You can see that, even Albuquerque's down to 27, so that's pretty chilly for them. Couple waves to watch this week, and I've got sort of the oranges and reds where there's energy in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and that drives what happens at the surface. So we want to watch for that. And you see all of that energy behind the precipitation that's heading out. Well, we get in northwest flow here for the middle part of the week. And there are a couple little waves that will dive across Colorado in that flow. Particularly one of them coming in here late Wednesday into Thursday is stronger than another one for the middle part of the week. Then we get some energy to rotate around the backside of this trough here Friday into Saturday. That one is stronger and bears watching, and then there's another one here that moves through as we head toward the weekend. So I've got us pretty quiet with those first couple waves in the extended forecast, but the ones for the end of the week getting a little bit stronger are more interesting. So now I've still got the flow lines on there. I'm going to walk you through the same time frame, and I'm going to put the clouds and precipitation from one of the computer models on here and show you that, the first one doesn't do a lot. Second one that comes in Wednesday will bring some snow to the mountains. It might drop the temperatures a little bit. Then we get to that one later in the week, and you see this streak here. Do you remember a couple of the mornings, like last weekend, Saturday, and then it was Monday morning, I think, when we woke up to a little bit of snow? It was the same sort of situation here, and kind of right under the jet stream associated with these waves. We'll watch for if we can get that lift far enough to the west. So again, I'm talking Friday. If that's a little bit closer to home, maybe Friday morning, we wake up to a little bit of snow, or maybe we have some over the plains. I'm not going to get hung up on the location of that 5 days ahead of time. And that's the kind of thing we watch for. I do think that wave is going to bring us some colder temps here as we head toward the weekend. We're still kind of behind a trough over the eastern U.S. and a ridge out into the west, so we get sideswiped by these systems. Then there's that next one to watch for the weekend that, again, right now is off to the east, but could that be, 300 miles farther west by the weekend? Could. Something we'll watch for. I do think we'll get warmer here into the middle part of the week. I think we get some 50s to show up over the plains. Then as we get those stronger waves to start coming in here, the temperatures will start to come down. So I think for Friday into Saturday, we'll look for some chillier numbers here as we head toward the weekend. And I haven't had a chance to update those yet, but I will here in just a little bit. And I'll get those into the Peaks to Plains weather app. So Ben says quite the swing in temperature. Yeah, it was for sure. It still is. And Ben, we are going to rotate that out the other direction here over the next 24 hours. So I think that's a little bit of good news that is on the way. Southern Colorado probably moving a little bit slow today. Seems that way. Out in the neighborhood, there's not as many cars going by as there is early this morning. And with the cold and kids on a delay, and then maybe a little bit of a Broncos hangover or letdown. Yeah, that's kind of how it seems we're moving. I'm going to take a short little break. I will be back right after this short message.
At Phil Long Ford Motor City, we've been around for 80 years. That's like 560 in dog years. Basically, we're the top dogs of Colorado. And thanks to our deals, selection, and service, we've earned some pretty loyal customers. And our GM Mark, he's the most loyal guy I know. Even after I chewed up his shoe, it was delicious.
Great trucks, amazing deals, and belly rubs for dogs. Come see why Colorado drives Phil Long Ford Motor City. Hey guys, where's my shoe?
Well, Phil Long Ford Motor City, one of the local businesses that is partnering with Peaks to Plains Weather to make this available to you. And I want to show you a way that you can support Peaks to Plains Weather. If you go to peakstoplainsweather.com and under the Advertise tab on the right-hand side of the website, if you want to advertise or you're interested in getting some information for your business, you can click Advertising Info. But then we've got our Partners tab here that shows you all of the local companies that have partnered with Peaks to Plains Weather, and you can click on them and go to their website. So there's the Bird Dog one for you, and that sounds really delicious right now. Here's Ameridry Restoration. They do lots of good work when things are maybe a little bit tougher in life than you'd like them to be. I've got Cabin Roast from American Classic Coffee this morning on their website. If you put in Peaks on checkout, you can get 10% off. That's kind of cool. And so, I invite you to support them. I encourage you to support them. They're making Peaks to Plains Weather available to you. And I am a supporter of local business. What makes our economy go in the United States, what makes us great. And, when you have consumer choices to make, support them. I think that would be great. So let's do a little bit more in the way of weather here in the short term. And I like looking by the numbers. The mountains finally caught up over the weekend in terms of the cold weather as we got into Sunday. The big mountain valleys were chilly. You see Crested Butte this morning running well below zero here. Then we have that next wave coming in that I showed you. This is the first of the couple waves early on Tuesday morning. It'll be moving across the mountain areas. Snow chances not that great there. And we'll stay chilly at night in the mountains with temperatures around zero here for the first part of the week. In Falcon, you see the warmer temps coming in over the next couple of days, ending up in the upper 30s today and then around 40 tomorrow. You do see the little bit of wind here, the middle of the day time frame, maybe some gusts up around 20 miles per hour out of the northwest. And then you see that wave coming in for early Tuesday morning. We should have some clouds around tomorrow, which will not be like what we have out there today. And not as cold overnight tonight, as we'll probably stay in the teens and 20s. So certainly swapping our air masses out here as we move over the next couple of days. And I think we're all, kind of in agreement that it's time to do that. Jeremy, this is kind of fun. Jeremy says Pueblo needs a bird dog. Yeah, maybe bird dog will expand down your way. John says, I just got back from a 6-week trip to Florida. No need to rub it in, my man. Happy to be back in dry, cold weather. I know I'm weird. I like my seasons. Well, we certainly had one here. Jennifer asked a question, says, my kid's driving to North Carolina late week. Will he be chasing weather? Yeah, some of those waves will be producing some more moisture across the central plains of the U.S. this week, Jennifer. You can use the Peaks to Plains weather app, actually, to look at the forecast for other parts of the U.S. and the country. I don't edit the forecast from some of the computer models like I do here locally, but you can use that. I mean, I'll show that to you here. I'll pull it up and you can put in a different location and see the forecast for there later on this week. You can also go to the Days Ahead tab and look at what is going to be happening in other parts of the country, like I said, and you can use the weather map to do that as well. So you can zoom around, you can change your location up here, you can save some of your favorites, look at the family members. Peaks to Plains weather app, the one-stop shop. I got a text message from my buddy John Tomke, who lives near Crowley in the eastern plains of Colorado. and north of Highway 50. He and his family farm. He's 11 below this morning. First time, actually, he's been down below zero. Yesterday, he got to zero, and today he is down below zero. So pretty cool to see. Chuck is sending me a picture in Deckers. I'll get that up and shared this morning. And so, you know, it's a start to the day of turning the corner, day of things getting better in Southern Colorado. So thanks for starting your day with me. I appreciate it. I will have some updates online, on social media through the day, and as things change, of course, in the forecast, I will get those to you here on Peaks to Plains Weather. That's what it's all about. Crew, have a good Monday. Be careful heading out the door this morning with the cold temps, and I'll see you tomorrow morning on Mornings with Meister.